Alyssa, what do these agents do?
Yes, Julie, these are the people that are responsible for protecting our Secretary of State. They also provide security for ambassadors overseas and foreign dignitaries visiting the United States. They say without the training happening nearby, we'd be hearing about many more casualties from attacks. Reacting to attacks,
all the way to the back,
protecting diplomats, defensive driving. Just some of the many skills diplomatic security agents need to learn to get themselves and others out of high-threat situations safely.
We have a number of individuals that serve overseas around the world in some of the most hostile environments, and it's incumbent on us to give them the training to increase their chances of being a successful tour overseas in a safe fashion.
This is the Diplomatic Security Training Center in Summit Point, West Virginia. It's about a half-an-hour drive from Winchester. Just last year, more than 4,000 people went through training at this facility, including agents in the State Department and Foreign Affairs personnel. And I just got a small taste of what it's like. An improvised explosive device goes off. I'm second in line in the motorcade. The blast stops our vehicle from working. Diplomatic security agents get me, their protectee, out of that vehicle into another one in seconds.
We're not there to engage. We're there to get the people that we're protecting away from the threat.
We're not there to fight the enemy. We need to get away from the enemy.
The State Department first came to Summit Point for the BSR track because they needed more driver training. That was back in the 80s, and the facility continues to grow to keep up with training needs.
And as long as those threats keep on evolving and changing, our training is going to have to continue to evolve and change to match those current threats.
We're looking at the tactics that terrorists utilize overseas, and we're actually trying to think of what they're going to do next. It's like a big chess game. Preparation is the key in it, and thinking long range is what's going to be important to our training of our personnel overseas.
About 100 instructors teach here, firearm and special tactics instructors, and of course, driving instructors.
It's not about how fast they can drive around this track, it's about how well they control the vehicle. So we teach them how to threshold brake. That means taking the car right up to the very point where the vehicle skids, but not into a full skid.
2, 3, okay, let's move it. Forward gear. Out we go.
This is a rollover simulator. Diplomatic security agents go through more than 3 days of driver training. They learn what to do if a vehicle gets out of control, but in the event that it does roll over, they learn what exactly to do.
And while you train is what you're going to probably do in the field.
They train in situations recreated to feel and look as real as possible. They showed us how it works as local actors take on the role of an angry mob at an embassy in a simulated attack.
The realism adds meaning to what our people are going to go through. So it's important that you create the environment and the conditions as close as possible. So when they're on the ground, it resonates with them, and the security training becomes real. What we're learning today is we have to be prepared for tomorrow.
An investigation is underway at this hour after a gas leak in Front Royal. Let's go live to TV3's Hattie Cheek with the breaking details near the Kmart. Hattie.
Hey Julie, the scene is safe here behind the Kmart where there was a car who allegedly ran into one of the tanks this afternoon. I'm going to show you exactly what happened. You can see the tracks right here on the road where a car lost control and traveled down and hit one of the propane tanks here behind the Kmart. With me, I'm going to bring in Richard. Come on, Chief Maybe. So what did you guys have to deal with when you first got here?
Well, the call came in about 4:15 of a vehicle that had run into the propane tanks. When we got here, we could, from a distance, you could smell the propane as well as hear the hissing coming from the tanks. After further investigation, we then saw the damage to the tanks. You see here we've got 6 1,000-gallon tanks. They're all interconnected. So the real damage was to the first 2 tanks, but they're still being fed by the other 4, if that makes sense.
Okay.
We immediately began an evacuation of the Kmart and some of the other businesses in this area because of the smell of propane in their buildings. We were lucky we called our local propane vendor because we couldn't identify the tanks at the time, and they sent us one of their specialists over who helped us, as you can see, contain the situation here before the AmeriGas people got here.
And you pretty much had to let the propane come out of the tanks that was happening. You were hosing it down?
Well, at that time, because there was no wind, the propane was congregating in this area here. All right, we assume it's being picked up by the AC units, you know, on these businesses and put into the buildings. But we use the water line to dissipate the odors from these occupied buildings.
Okay, and I'll have more to you coming at the end of the show. Police department is investigating who did this, and they have a lead on that, but I'll have more with that in just a few minutes. Live in Front Royal, Hattie Cheek, back to you.
On the campus of the University of Maryland, in a nondescript building, is something only a handful of campuses across the U.S. have: a working wind tunnel.
This turboprop behind me has 2,000 horsepower and can generate winds up to 230 miles per hour. For us, we're going to experience Category 3 hurricane force winds of 111 miles per hour.
And these winds can be wicked, so much so that I have to strap on a harness just to stay standing up.
It's really snug. I guess that's good.
My cameraman John comes into the wind tunnel with me. I get locked into place, and they flip on the switch. Right off the bat, I experience winds found in last year's derecho.
All right, right now the winds are at 50 miles per hour. You could find these in a thunderstorm, but it'd have to be a pretty severe one at that.
But at 50 miles per hour, it's no longer safe for John to be in here untethered, so he exits the tunnel. And we increase the speed: 60, 70, 80, 90, 100 miles per hour. We hit the triple digits, and you can see the wind just pulling at the skin on my face.
Alright, right now, 100 miles an hour, getting really hard to top.
That thumbs up, I tell them I'm ready to experience major hurricane winds of Category 3 status.
Right now, we're at 115. These are Category 3 hurricane winds. Really hard to stand up.
At that speed, I have to call it quits. It feels like an 800-pound gorilla is sitting on my chest, making it extremely difficult to breathe.
Marilyn Finnemore and her husband purchased the Bright Center in 2005, and they've been renovating it since 2008. The Bright Box Theater was the last piece to be completed.
This has been a dream of mine ever since I saw the building, because there was this giant room in the back with very tall ceilings. I wanted to put a theater or a studio back there. The city wasn't ready for it at the time. We weren't ready for it at the time, but now the city is ready for this.
The Bright Center used to be home to the old department store Leggett's. Finnemore worked to preserve the character of the building by keeping some of the old ceilings and the only escalator downtown.
We just opened the theater first week in May. We've had a lot of events in here already. We've had lots of different bands, and we're going to start having comedy nights, open mic nights. People are starting to book weddings and private parties.
Event coordinator Josh Huff says the theater has attracted both local and national bands.
We've already had bands like Three-Legged Fox, who play a sort of 311 reggae rock. We've had June Divided here in January, which has toured Warped Tour on the whole entire East Coast. We've had nationally traveling acts like Larry Keel, who does bluegrass festivals. We caught him between two large festivals, so that was great. So we've just had a lot of support nationally and as well locally.
The theater has a state-of-the-art sound and lighting system, making it very appealing to both artists and the audience. One of the unique offerings is the green room. This is where artists can get ready before the show or just relax.
This is more like a 9:30 club. This is more of an event venue rather than a bar or another place that you might happen to catch music. We have facilities like food and bar, but it's only open during the event. It's only to complement the performance in your evening.
For more information on the performance schedule, visit this story at tv3winchester.com.
The Bright Box is something very special because it is a place where you come to really hear and feel music.
We've really embraced the character of Old Town, and it in itself is unique and great, so why not come out and support your local community?
In Winchester, Cassie B. Hofist in your community.
It is this kind of hidden gem.
A hidden gem. It's how many describe the inn at Vaucluse Spring. And while some longtime residents of the northern Shenandoah Valley have never heard of it, it's well known by people who want an escape from the city, including the owners. In 1995, Neil and Barry Myers moved from Fairfax County and opened the bed and breakfast. It's on 100 acres in Stevens City, just off Route 11, and has been named one of the top 10 most romantic inns.
It is a good getaway place for people nearby, just because if they're leaving small children at home or something, that they're still in the area, but they feel like they've gone someplace different. You really do feel like you're away from it all here.
And while you're getting away, you can enjoy fine dining from Chef Adam Polizinski. It's no stress dining with set menus, so you don't even have to decide what you want to eat.
Constantly, strive to create and modify and do something different every day.
The Valentine's Day dinner will be similar to this one.
I sous vide cooked a hanger steak.
It will also include a Yukon Gold potato poached and bruleed with sugar. And for dessert, a special rendition of a s'more, which includes graham cracker ice cream.
So it's really something special, and I think that when people come out, they're really shocked to see how beautiful it is and to see the level of service that we provide, just down the street that a lot of people didn't know existed.
Another bed and breakfast many locals don't know about is the Nancy Shepherd House Inn. It's on South Loudon Street in Winchester. David McLaughlin has owned it since 1987.
For people who are looking for a true, authentic, early type inn/tavern experience, this is a great place to stay.
If Cupid has struck and you're planning on tying the knot this Valentine's Day, getting married inside this early Virginia inn is an option.
I'm a wedding officiant here in town, and at this very spot and others here at the inn, I marry couples.
Whether it's a wedding or a romantic getaway, there are sweet and unique experiences to share close to home.